What happened when a routine press briefing turned into a moment that left everyone speechless? Pam Bondi took her place behind the podium, as she had countless times before. The room was bright with flashing cameras, journalists flipping through their notes in quick anticipation. Her last words on transparency echoed through the space, her calm demeanor projecting strength. She had faced scrutiny before. This was nothing new. The Q&A session began with the usual questions, harmless, recycled queries from familiar faces. Hers was a performance of poise, offering polished answers as cameras captured her confident smile. The briefing felt predictable, right until Connor Masters raised his hand. He wasn't the kind to blend in. Clad in a wrinkled shirt with sleeves pushed up, he had the look of someone ready to stir the pot. Pam pointed toward him, her finger light but definite. He stood, notebook in hand but clearly uninterested in taking notes. "Ms. Bondi," he began, loud enough to command the room's attention. "You've spoken at length today about justice and integrity, and while I appreciate your words, my eyes are drawn to the cross necklace you're wearing. It's beautiful." He paused, the faintest smirk pulling at his lips. "I just wonder, how does it feel to wear a symbol of truth while carrying accusations of blatant dishonesty?" The room froze. Conversations, pens, cameras, everything stopped at once. A bold first swing, sharp and deliberate. Pam didn't react immediately. She looked at him, her expression unchanging, but anyone paying close attention could feel her focus sharpening, locking onto him. He took this as confidence, mistaking her composure for an opening. "Specifically," he pressed, his arrogance filling the stillness, "there are many who think you've misrepresented, or worse, concealed critical records tied to the Epstein case. Records that included certain names like Trump. Were those files simply inconvenient, or does your necklace serve as a shield for the truth?" A shockwave rippled through the room. The words hung heavy in the air. Gasps, glances exchanged. No one would say it aloud, but this had crossed the line. Still, Pam stood motionless, her silence deafening, her expression unreadable. Connor's smirk widened, misinterpreting the silence once again. The confidence of a man convinced he'd landed a knockout blow. Finally, Pam inhaled deeply, stepping closer to the microphone. "Are you finished, Mr. Masters?" he replied coolly. "Connor Masters." "Mr. Masters," she repeated, nodding slightly. "First, thank you, sincerely, for your question." Her tone was calm, almost neutral, but razor-sharp if you listened closely. "You've actually given me an opportunity to address not just you, but everyone here." There was no acknowledgement of the smug satisfaction blooming on Connor's face. She had no intention of entertaining it. "Now, regarding your first observation, my cross," Pam continued, holding it delicately between her fingers. "This necklace isn't just jewelry to me. It's a reminder of responsibility, accountability, and the moral standard I hold myself to every single day. But, Mr. Masters..." Her voice tightened now, cutting through the tension. "It appears you've confused its meaning with something else entirely." Connor blinked, his smirk twitching, but Pam didn't give him time to respond. "You see," she said, leaning forward just slightly, "when you claim this cross is somehow ironic because of accusations, unfounded accusations, I should add, you don't just insult me. You insult the very idea of accountability itself. Not because I'm offended," she clarified, "but because you have chosen to weaponize a symbol of faith without any evidence to support your grand claims." Connor tried to interject, but she raised a hand, silencing him with an effortless gesture. "You targeted me, not my work, not the facts, but me. Why? For a headline? A viral moment?" Her words were measured, each syllable deliberate. The room was transfixed. Even the most disgruntled reporters couldn't help but lean closer. "Now," Pam said, her tone crisp and authoritative, "about the Epstein files." She adjusted her stance slightly, steady and immovable. You assert that I withheld or erased critical information. A bold claim, Mr. Masters, one I assume you've backed up with thorough investigation? Connor opened his mouth, but no words came out. No, I didn't think so, Pam answered for him, shaking her head slowly. Her voice remained calm, but the sharp edge remained. Because if you had done more than skim conspiratorial speculation, you'd know the records you're referring to are publicly available. And while the processes for those documents involved multiple agencies I had no single power over, they remain as they were, unaltered, untouched. The room was like a courtroom now, her words slicing through every silent moment. Those who had initially looked skeptical now nodded slightly in agreement. As for the mention of Trump, she said, her eyes boring into him, his name exists where it always has, Mr. Masters. Nothing hidden, nothing erased. I challenge you to open the files and find otherwise. And when you don't, I trust you'll make the same effort to publicly correct yourself. Because accountability isn't just a word that suits the moment. It's an action. Connor's smirk had long since vanished. It was replaced with something else entirely. Discomfort. Anxiety. But here's the larger issue, Pam said, stepping away from her own defense and addressing the room now. Everyone sat rapt. Mr. Masters' question didn't stem from a desire for truth. It was performance disguised as inquiry. And when we allow such things to go unchallenged, she paused, letting the weight of her words settle. We chip away at something greater than any symbol. We chip away at our commitment to integrity, facts, and accountability. Not just for ourselves, but the stories we tell, and the people we serve. She turned back to Connor now, quiet but fierce. This cross, she said softly, it doesn't hide dishonesty. It exposes it. Not just in me. She gestured subtly toward him. But in those who misuse the truth for their own gain. The room was dead silent. Cameras zoomed in on her face. Pam clasped her hands in front of her, her posture unwavering. You came here today looking for a moment, she said, and you found one, but not the one you planned. Connor sank into his seat, almost visibly trying to disappear. His challenge, the composure he'd walked in with, was gone, eviscerated. Pam turned toward the mic one last time. I'll leave you all with this, she said, her tone soft but still commanding attention. Symbols like this necklace, faith, honesty, integrity, they aren't shields, they're mirrors. And when we hold them up, sometimes we don't like what they show us. She stepped back, her work complete. The room erupted, not into chaos, but into hurried notes, murmured thoughts, quiet awe. To those watching, she had done more than just defend herself. She had transformed the moment, flipping every accusation on its head with elegance and unshakable confidence. Outside, the cameras waited for her, but Pam didn't rush. She walked with purpose, her cross catching the sun. The world would dissect what had just happened, but the truth? The truth had already been made plain for all to see.